Hey guys, Zen here, and today I wanted to dedicate a video to Fuze. This is an operator that I never hear anyone talking about, and I think the biggest reason for that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but Fuze has never seen any kind of direct nerf or buff since the very beginning of the game. The only change I ever remember seeing for this operator was when Ash and Thermite lost their smokes and one of his secondary gadgets was swapped out for them. Again, outside of that change, which actually happened around Operation Velvet Shell back in year 2, Fuze has remained basically untouched. So in this video, I wanted to touch base with him, discuss his current state in the meta, and whether or not he's one of the best attackers in the game or simply one of the worst. But before we begin, this video is sponsored by Now Drinks. Now is a focus drink designed for gamers. Not only is it packed with vitamins and antioxidants, but no matter where you are in the world, they'll ship it to you, so that's always a plus. Of course, if you're looking to get your hands on some now, you can click the link at the top of the description, and while you're in the store, use code ZEN for 10% off everything. I only tell you guys about stuff I enjoy as well, so if you're not satisfied with it for whatever reason, you'll get your money back. And they even told me that if you mention that you come from this channel, they'll treat you like the royalty you are, because yeah, we're special. Now, if you're looking for a recommendation, go with the blue raspberry flavor, but of course, if you have any questions, you can always hit them up on Messenger, which makes things that much easier. Thanks again to Now for sponsoring this video. So I wanted to officially begin this video with a quick clip of how I think Fuze is being used currently in the meta, and afterwards I have some thoughts, so let's get into it.
I'll escort you, I guess. Oh, there's a you. I can't go further.
There, we got it, they got it, they got it.
You want me to drone for you?
Biohazard container located.
Got it.
Alright, you're good.
I'm good.
There's a couple in there that are really hurt.
Nobody's watching.
Setting breach charge. One on 4 remaining. Secure the container. Hostile activity. Neutralize the threat.
Let's work.
Op 4 eliminated.
So the only element missing from that clip is the cluster charge destroying enemy gadgets, but rest assured, if there was a mute jammer, a Gersmont mine, or even an evil eye anywhere in that area, they'd be wiped out. But I like this clip because it shows how using the cluster charge and breach charge correctly together can really funnel the defenders into a very uncomfortable position and lead to easy kills. This same loop can be done on floors. I think of Clubhouse Kitchen Hatch, for example. Now, if I was using smoke, it'd be a different story, but a similar effect. You can set up a cluster charge, wait for a smoke push or even smoke plant to go down, and detonate right as the defenders push through or start defusing. A small tip with Fuze is that if you don't get noticed somehow placing the charge, you don't have to immediately detonate it. Always try and wait for the best opportunity to detonate that'll either lead to kills or to destroy enemy defenses. Now, Fuze is one of those operators that the community has a very wide spectrum of opinions on, and a lot of it has to do with rank. In the lower ranks, higher silver and below, for instance, he can actually be looked at as overpowered, especially on site. If you're newer to the game or just not super experienced, there's just not that same level of spatial awareness. You may also not be very familiar with the different noises happening around you. So when Fuze sets up his cluster charge and detonates on site, it's very easy to see why people would believe that a bunch of random explosions going off all at once is clearly overpowered. Each of these bombs have the potential to kill you, and honestly, unless you're a more advanced player or play a ton of Fuze yourself, knowing the spread of the cluster bomb and how it actually goes off not only takes time, but is also very confusing. I had been playing this game for over a year before I actually understood that the cluster charge detonates from right to left. It's even more important to understand this while you're playing Fuze because it dictates which direction you should be facing as you place it. But again, until you fully understand these details about him, he just seems chaotic and out of place. A quick side story for context. Before before I learned these things about him, I remember just thinking to myself, like, how is this a thing in this game? How could Ubisoft have possibly thought this would work in this kind of game? It just didn't make any sense to me at all, and I almost had this sort of resentment towards the devs. But in the end, I was naive, and that noob is dead and gone. Now, in the higher ranks, Fuze is generally considered underpowered, and it's for all of the exact reasons he'd be overpowered, just with flipped perspectives. Because he's loud and chaotic, especially when it comes to the cluster charge, he draws so much attention, if not all of the attention, on himself and to wherever the cluster charge is going off. This makes him very susceptible to roamers, and also being pre-fired as he's placing the gadget either on a window or through the floor. It can actually be very dangerous to play Fuze, and I also believe that's why he struggles to be picked today. Castle is another operator who struggles with this imbalance in the community. I'd say Gold 1 and lower believe he's weak and could use a buff, and any higher than Plat 2 usually feel like he's fine as is, and a buff could potentially make him overpowered. He also hasn't seen any changes in a long time. Outside of removing the glass counter a few patches back, he's not been changed either, so I almost wonder if Ubisoft is stuck in a balance void between these two sides of both of these operators. Now, one big redeeming factor of Fuze is his variability in everything he's capable of. He's the only operator in the game that has access to an automatic assault rifle and a shield, which makes for some really diverse use cases. A quick fun fact is that even to this day, in year 4, Fuze's AK-12 has the highest attacking DPS in the game. So you could say Fuze holds the best weapon currently available on attack. But if you did, I really couldn't disagree because it hits hard, sounds great, and shoots almost without recoil when equipped with a vertical grip. He can also open up with breach charges and cover a flank with smoke. Now, I love Fuze, but as I've said in the past, knowledge is king in Rainbow Six Siege, and I think it's that lack of knowledge about Fuze that holds players back from using him. He is paired well with other ops like Jackal and Dokkaebi, but unless you're all synced up and betting on a very specific push, you may not see his full potential in those scenarios either. Oddly enough, Fuze is one of my go-to ops when I'm not doing so hot, and it's because he forces me to pay attention to all of my surroundings to be really effective with him. I'm pro Fuze, and I'm out here rooting for more Fuze mains, but of course I know you guys are out there, and personally I appreciate all of your cluster charges. But that's everything, guys. There's always more to say, but of course I want to hear from you. How do you feel about Fuze? Is he an operator you ever pick? And how many hostages do you think have fell victim to a new Fuze player? Let me know everything in a comment down below. If you did enjoy this video, please drop a like and subscribe with notifications if you're new. With that being said, it's been Zen. Hey, I'm out.